Respect today feels like a shouting match, but the deepest admiration is actually won in silence. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be." Be one. This simple, powerful idea reminds us that true character speaks through action, not volume. In a world saturated with noise and self-promotion, we will explore 23 quiet behaviors rooted in Stoic philosophy that naturally command profound respect. This is a practical journey into cultivating an unshakable inner presence, the kind that draws people in without a single demand. You will discover how to build a reputation of unwavering integrity and quiet influence that lasts. What does it truly mean to be respected for who you are, not just what you say? The first quiet behavior is perhaps the most counterintuitive in our age of constant expression. We are taught to voice our opinions, to share our stories, to make ourselves heard, but the Stoics understood a deeper truth, that real influence often begins not with your mouth, but with your ears. True listening is an act of intense focus and profound respect. It is not merely waiting for your turn to talk, or silently formulating a rebuttal while someone else is speaking. This practice is deeply tied to the Stoic virtue of justice, which they defined as giving each person what they are due, and what is more due to another human being than your full, undivided attention. The philosopher Epictetus offered clear guidance on this. He said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This is not just a clever saying. It is a practical instruction for controlling the impulse to speak, an impulse that often springs from ego rather than necessity. Think of a leader you truly admire, not one who simply commands a room with loud speeches, but one who makes you feel truly heard. This leader gains unwavering trust not by having all the answers, but by asking the right questions and then genuinely absorbing the response. They create a space where people feel safe to be honest, because they know their words will land on receptive ears, not be battered away by a pre-formed opinion. This kind of presence is magnetic. It signals strength and confidence, a person secure enough to let others shine. Now, bring to mind a conversation you had just recently, perhaps today or yesterday. As you replay that interaction in your mind, ask yourself a simple but revealing question. Were you truly listening to understand the other person, or were you primarily waiting for your turn to speak? The answer reveals the quiet, often unnoticed, battle between our desire to be heard and our capacity to offer respect. Mastering this single behavior can fundamentally alter how people perceive you, moving you from someone who is merely heard to someone who is deeply understood and trusted. How do you react when plans fall apart? Your immediate response in that moment of pressure reveals more about your character than 1,000 calm days ever could. This brings us to the second quiet behavior, maintaining composure when everything seems to be unraveling. The Stoics called this state equanimity, an inner calm that remains unshaken by the chaos of external events. It is not about suppressing emotion or becoming cold and unfeeling. It is about the profound clarity that comes from a simple, powerful filter, focusing your energy only on what is within your control and accepting the rest with grace. The Roman philosopher Seneca, who faced exile and immense political turmoil, wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. A wise man is not shaken by mere events, for his happiness depends on his own choices, not on external circumstances. When you can face a sudden crisis, a public failure, or a broken plan without crumbling into panic, you project a strength that is both rare and deeply admirable. Picture someone giving an important presentation when the technology fails completely. The screen goes black, the microphone dies. One person might frantically push buttons, their voice rising in frustration, casting blame and radiating anxiety. Everyone feels that tension, and respect for that person begins to leak away. Now imagine another person in that exact same situation. They take a slow breath, acknowledge the hiccup with a slight smile, and simply continue speaking, projecting their voice to the room. They adapt. They might even make a light, self-deprecating joke to put everyone at ease. In that moment, they are not just giving a presentation, they are demonstrating mastery over themselves. They command the room not with authority, but with unshakable calm. This composure tells everyone watching, I am not easily thrown off balance. I can handle what life brings. That is a person people instinctively trust and follow. So where in your own life could you practice this quiet power? Is it when you receive difficult feedback at work, when you are stuck in unexpected traffic, or when a family member says something that triggers you? Choose one specific, recurring situation this week and make a conscious choice to respond not with your first frantic impulse, but with a deliberate, steady calm. Notice how it changes the entire dynamic and how it changes the way you see yourself. Character is revealed in private moments. When the door is closed and the audience has gone home, what you choose to do tells the truest story of who you are. This is the third quiet behavior, acting with unwavering integrity when no one is watching. At its core, Stoicism teaches that virtue is its own reward. The goal is not to be seen as a good person, but to actually be one, regardless of witnesses or potential applause. Your moral compass must point true north even in an empty room. Marcus Aurelius, who led the vast Roman Empire, constantly reminded himself of this in his private journals. He wrote, "You can commit injustice by doing nothing." Be sure you are not committing the injustices you condemn in others. And in another passage, he urged himself to be a good man, whether anyone is watching or not. This is the essence of integrity, a seamless alignment between your public persona and your private actions. Consider the historical figure of George Washington, not the legendary general, but the man alone with his own ambition. After leading the Continental Army to victory, he was arguably the most powerful man in America. Some of his officers even suggested he become a king. The world would have understood if he had seized that power, but in a private moment of profound decision, he chose to resign his commission and return to his farm. He acted on the principle that the new nation should be a republic, not a monarchy, and his private commitment to that ideal shaped a nation's future. His integrity was not for show, it was the very fabric of his being. Now, bring this concept into your own life with a simple but powerful reflection. Think of a recent choice you made entirely in private. Perhaps it was deciding not to share a piece of gossip you learned, even though it was juicy and no one would have known you were the source. Maybe it was the decision to put in a full hour of work on a personal project when you were tired and could have just scrolled through your phone. Or perhaps it was the choice to tell the truth on a form when a small lie would have been easier and gone completely undetected. In that quiet moment, did your action align with the person you claim to be, the values you profess to hold? This is where real character is built, brick by brick, in the solitude of your own choices. Every time you choose what is right over what is easy in private, you forge an inner strength that becomes visible in your public confidence. People may not know the specific choices you made, but they will sense the unshakable foundation you stand on. They will see a person who is the same through and through, and that consistency is the bedrock of deep, unspoken trust. Gratitude, quietly expressed, radiates a profound sense of abundance. It is the quiet acknowledgement of what you already possess, an inner wealth that needs no external validation. This practice is deeply intertwined with a powerful Stoic exercise known as negative visualization, where you briefly contemplate the loss of the people and things you hold dear. This is not an exercise in pessimism, but a tool for sharpening appreciation. By mentally facing the temporary nature of everything, you suddenly see the ordinary comforts and relationships in your life with fresh, vivid eyes. Seneca captured this perfectly when he advised, "Let us prepare our minds as if we had come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day." The one who puts the finishing touches on their life each day is never short of time. He is reminding us to take nothing for granted, to live and give thanks as if today were our final opportunity. When you practice this silent thankfulness, it transforms your presence. You are no longer someone chasing the next thing, but someone who is genuinely content with the present moment. This quiet contentment is magnetic. Consider a simple, unspoken act of appreciation. You notice a colleague has stayed late to tidy the shared workspace. Instead of a loud, public thank you that might embarrass them, you leave a brief, handwritten note on their desk expressing your genuine gratitude for their diligence. The message is the same, but its quiet delivery amplifies its sincerity. It strengthens the relationship because it is a gift given freely, without any expectation of reciprocation or social reward. It communicates that you see their effort and that you are the kind of person who notices such things. This silent acknowledgement builds bonds of respect that are far stronger than those forged by public fanfare. So take a quiet moment now just for yourself, without speaking a word or writing it down for anyone else to see. Mentally list 3 simple things you are grateful for today. It could be the warmth of your morning drink, the reliability of an old friend, or simply the fact that you made it through a difficult task. Sit with that feeling of quiet abundance for just a few seconds. Notice how it shifts your inner state, creating a foundation of richness that no external circumstance can easily shake. In a world addicted to noise, silence is a superpower. We have been conditioned to fill every conversational void, fearing that a pause will be interpreted as ignorance or weakness. Yet the Stoics understood that measured speech is a profound display of inner strength. It is the quiet discipline of choosing your words with purpose rather than spraying them like confetti. Epictetus offered a razor-sharp rule for this. He said, "Do not give your tongue the freedom to say whatever it likes to whom it likes. Be silent for the most part and speak only when you must, and then briefly." This is not about being shy or withdrawn. It is about conserving your energy for words that truly matter, ensuring that when you do speak, people lean in to listen. A comfortable pause in conversation signals thoughtfulness and deep self-control. It tells everyone that you are processing, considering, and reflecting, not just reacting. Picture a tense meeting where a colleague sharply criticizes your idea. The immediate, ego-driven impulse is to fire back a defense, to list your reasons and prove them wrong. This reaction, however, often pours gasoline on the fire. Now envision a different response. You receive the criticism, and instead of replying instantly, you deliberately lean back, take a slow breath, and sit in silence for just 3 seconds. That tiny pocket of quiet is incredibly powerful. It de-escalates the emotional charge, it demonstrates that you are not easily rattled, and it shows that you value the truth of the response more than the sting to your pride. In that silence, you command a deep, unspoken respect. The other person realizes they are dealing with someone who is grounded, not fragile. Your next words, when they finally come, will carry far more weight because they were chosen, not triggered. So here is a challenge for your next important conversation. Whether it is a difficult discussion with a partner or a negotiation at work, consciously practice inserting a deliberate 3-second pause before you respond. Do not use it to plan your rebuttal. Use it to truly hear what was said, to let the initial emotional wave pass, and to choose your words from a place of calm intention. Notice the shift in the dynamic. You will feel more in control, and the person you are speaking with will sense a new level of respect emanating from your quiet composure. When things go wrong, where do you place the blame? It is a reflex to point outward, to find an external cause for our stumbles and failures. Yet the Stoics identified this very impulse as the primary obstacle to our growth and the silent thief of others' respect. The core principle here is radical ownership, the decision to accept full responsibility for your judgments and actions, because these are the only things truly within your control. The philosopher Epictetus drew a clear and unbreakable line for us. He stated that some things are up to us and some are not. Our opinions, impulses, desires, and aversions are within our power. Everything else, from our reputation to our health to the actions of others, is not. When you blame a traffic jam for your bad mood, you have handed control of your inner state to a line of cars. When you blame a colleague for a missed deadline, you surrender your agency to their actions. Owning your part, however small, is a quiet declaration of maturity. It signals that you are the captain of your own ship, even in stormy seas. Imagine a team leader whose project has just failed to meet its goals. In the post-mortem meeting, the easy path is to list the reasons, the market shifts, the unexpected delays from another department. But a leader who commands deep respect does something different. They stand up and say, "I underestimated the challenges, and my communication timeline was unrealistic. Here is how I plan to fix it." This immediate, unflinching accountability does not make them look weak. It makes them look formidable. It builds trust because everyone knows this person will not make excuses. They will make improvements. Their focus is on the solution, not the blame. This quiet behavior transforms a failure from a stain into a lesson, earning respect through unwavering honesty. Now think back to a recent setback in your own life, something that did not go as planned. It could be a personal goal you abandoned or a misunderstanding with a friend. In your mind, replay the story you have been telling yourself about what happened. Now, gently shift the focus. Ask yourself one simple question: what part of this outcome was within my control? What opinion did I hold that shaped my actions? What single choice could I have made differently? This is not about self-blame or shame. It is about reclaiming your power. By taking responsibility for your small piece of the puzzle, you stop being a passenger in your own life and become the driver. That shift in perspective is the quiet beginning of unshakable self-respect, and it is the very quality that others will notice, even if they cannot name it. Kindness offered uniformly, without expectation, speaks volumes about one's character. It is a quiet behavior that cuts across social status and personal convenience, revealing a person's true moral compass. The Stoics called this worldview cosmopolitanism, the profound understanding that we are all citizens of the same world, bound by a shared humanity that deserves basic respect and compassion. This is not about being a pushover or ignoring injustice. It is about the disciplined practice of extending fundamental human dignity to everyone you meet, from the CEO to the janitor, from your closest friend to the person who just cut you off in traffic. Marcus Aurelius, who dealt with countless difficult and treacherous people, constantly reminded himself of this principle. He wrote in his private meditations, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they cannot tell good from evil. but I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own. With this perspective, he chose to meet malice not with more malice, but with a steadfast and just kindness. This is the ultimate test of your character, how you treat those who can do absolutely nothing for you, and how you maintain your grace with those who actively work against you. Think of the barrister who is clearly having a terrible day, their movements sharp and their tone short. The easy, automatic reaction is to mirror that energy, to become curt and impatient in return. But the person who commands deep respect takes a different path. They make steady eye contact, offer a genuine smile, and say a warm thank you. This small, consistent act is not about fixing the barrister's day. It is about holding true to your own values regardless of the external weather. It is a quiet declaration that your behavior is not for sale to the highest bidder of pleasantness. These tiny, almost invisible deposits of kindness build a reputation over time. People come to see you as a source of stability and warmth, a person whose respect is not conditional on their mood or your utility to them. So, bring to mind one person in your life you consistently struggle with. It might be a critical relative or a perpetually negative coworker. Now, without announcing it to them or to anyone else, make a quiet plan. What is one small, specific act of kindness you could extend to them this week? It does not need to be grand. It could be as simple as offering a sincere compliment on their work, or actively listening without interruption the next time they speak. This is not about winning them over, but about strengthening your own resolve to be kind. In that quiet, consistent choice, you build an inner fortitude that others cannot help but notice and deeply respect. We have all been in that slow-moving line or traffic jam, watching the minutes tick away as frustration starts to boil. Your shoulders tighten, your breath becomes shallow, and the entire world seems to be conspiring against your schedule. In that exact moment, a quiet battle is fought, not with the world but within you. This is the seventh behavior, demonstrating patience in frustrating situations. Patience to the Stoic is far more than just waiting. It is a disciplined exercise in accepting the fundamental nature of events beyond our control. It is the conscious choice to align your inner state with reality, rather than raging against it. Seneca saw this struggle clearly, writing, "To fret at want of comfort is to increase it." The man who is angry at the weather is adding to his troubles. His wisdom cuts to the core. Getting angry at a delay is like shaking your fist at the rain. It expends your energy and darkens your mood, but it does not make the rain stop. The delay itself is neutral, it simply is. Your suffering comes from your judgment of it, from the story you tell yourself about how this inconvenience is a personal offense. When you choose patience, you are not being passive. You are actively exercising your power to choose your response. You are demonstrating a profound inner discipline that says, "This event cannot shake my core." Imagine a team working on a complex, long-term project. Progress is slow, deadlines are pushed back, and the initial excitement has faded into a grueling marathon. One team member constantly vocalizes their frustration, complaining about the pace and questioning the leadership. Their energy is draining and contagious. Another member, however, remains steady. They acknowledge the setbacks without drama, focus on the small, actionable steps they can take each day, and consistently encourage their colleagues. They do not ignore the difficulty, but they refuse to be defined by it. Over time, the team's admiration for this patient member grows exponentially. They become the project's anchor, the person everyone looks to for stability. Their quiet perseverance earns a deep, lasting respect that no amount of frantic activity ever could. Their calm presence communicates that the goal is worth the effort, and that effort is best undertaken with a steady heart. Now, bring this into your own world. Identify one recurring frustration in your life, a daily irritant that reliably tests your patience. It might be your commute, a slow computer, or a family member's particular habit. This is your training ground. Before you encounter it again, make a quiet plan. Decide in advance how you will respond. You might take 3 deep breaths, listen to a piece of music you love, or simply remind yourself, this is outside my control, but my reaction is mine to command. That small, premeditated choice transforms the moment from a test of your patience into a demonstration of your strength. Trust is built in the smallest of commitments. Every time you tell someone you will call, or that you will have that report ready by Tuesday, or that you will water their plants while they are away, you are making a silent contract. The Stoic teacher Musonius Rufus taught that we should consider our word as binding as any legal oath. He argued that a philosopher, and indeed any person striving for virtue, must be careful to never promise anything they are not completely sure they can fulfill. This is the bedrock of integrity, where your internal character and your external actions become one seamless whole. When you follow through on the most minor promise, you are not just completing a task. You are broadcasting a powerful, silent message about your reliability. You are telling the world that you can be counted on, that your word is your bond. This consistency builds a foundation of respect so solid it needs no announcement. Think of a friend who asks you to recommend a book. You casually say, "Oh, I will send you the title tomorrow." Life gets busy and it would be easy to forget, to assume it is not a big deal. But the person who commands deep respect remembers. They send that brief message the next day as promised. This tiny action, repeated over time, creates an unshakable impression. That person becomes known as someone who does what they say they will do. Their yes means yes, and their no means no. In a world of flakiness and empty intentions, this reliability is a rare and valuable currency. It tells others that you respect their time and their trust enough to honor even the seemingly insignificant agreements. Now take a quiet inventory of your own recent commitments. Look back over the last week at the promises you have made, both aloud and to yourself. Did you tell your partner you would handle that errand? Did you promise yourself you would start that exercise routine? Your integrity is forged in these moments. Choose one small promise you have let slide, not a monumental vow, but a minor one. Make a conscious decision to fulfill it today without fanfare. Notice the quiet satisfaction that comes from aligning your words with your deeds, and the unspoken respect this consistency earns from others and, just as importantly, from yourself. What do you talk about when others are not around? The content of our private conversations reveals the true focus of our character, and nothing erodes respect more quietly than a habit of gossip. Stoicism directs our judgment inward, urging us to scrutinize our own actions and leave the faults of others to them. This is not about ignoring injustice, but about exercising a profound discipline over your own tongue and mind. The philosopher Epictetus offered a razor-sharp guideline for this. He said, "If a man has reported to you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make any defense to what has been told you, but reply, 'The man did not know the rest of my faults, or he would not have mentioned only these.'" This is a revolutionary way to meet gossip. Instead of participating in the cycle of judgment, you disarm it completely by turning the focus back to your own endless room for improvement. When you refuse to engage in negative talk, you are doing two powerful things simultaneously. You are showing deep respect for the dignity of the person being discussed, who is not there to defend themselves, and you are demonstrating formidable self-control. You are declaring that your mind is a place for constructive thought, not a dumping ground for petty criticisms. Imagine a common office scenario. The morning coffee break turns into a session of dissecting a colleague's unpopular decision. The conversation is light, almost playful, but it is rooted in judgment. One person, however, remains quiet, sipping their coffee. When the group looks to them for agreement, they simply say, "I am trying to understand the pressure they were under," and then gently steer the conversation toward a solution or a completely different topic. In that moment, they do not become an outcast. Instead, they become an anchor. Their silence in the face of gossip is louder than any words. They earn a reputation for discretion and integrity, and people will naturally begin to confide in them, knowing their words are safe. This quiet behavior builds a fortress of trust around you. For the next 24 hours, make a private pact with yourself. Become an observer of your own speech. In every conversation, notice the direction your words take. Are you building something up or tearing something down? Is the focus on solving a problem or merely assigning blame? You do not need to judge yourself harshly, simply notice the patterns. This single day of awareness can illuminate the quiet power you hold to command respect, not by policing others, but by mastering the one thing you truly control, your own voice. In an age of distraction, undivided attention is a rare gift. This 10th quiet behavior is the practice of being fully present, a discipline the Stoics saw as fundamental to a virtuous life. They believed the present moment is the only reality we truly possess, the only place where our reason and our actions can have any effect. To be physically with someone while your mind is elsewhere is to rob them and yourself of that reality. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself of this duty to the here and now. He wrote, "Concentrate every minute like a Roman on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, tenderly, willingly, with justice." He is not talking about a frantic focus, but a calm, complete immersion in the person or task before you. When you offer someone your full presence, you are giving them a profound form of validation. You are silently communicating that they matter more than the phantom world inside your phone, more than the meeting you had earlier, more than the thought circling in your own mind. This makes people feel seen, heard, and deeply respected. Consider a parent playing with their young child. The child is excitedly explaining the intricate story behind their block tower. The parent's body is on the floor, but their eyes keep flicking to their phone. Their responses are generic and delayed. The child's enthusiasm slowly deflates. Their story trails off. They may not have the words for it, but they feel the disrespect of divided attention. Now, picture the alternative. The parent puts their phone in another room, gets down on the floor, and truly listens. They ask questions about the blocks, they make eye contact, they are fully there. In that quiet space of shared attention, a bond of immense mutual respect is fortified. The child learns they are valued, and the parent practices the Stoic art of living in the only moment that exists. This same principle applies to every interaction. Your friend sharing a problem, your colleague explaining a complex idea, your partner recounting their day, your presence or lack of it writes a silent transcript of your respect for them. So here is a simple challenge for today. Choose one conversation, just one, and make it a sanctuary for presence. Before it begins, put your phone completely out of sight, not just face down on the table. As you listen, when you feel your mind begin to wander to your own reply or to another worry, gently guide it back to the person speaking. Notice their expressions, listen to the tone of their voice. Do not just wait for your turn to talk, but truly receive their words. This single, focused conversation will feel different. You will feel more connected, and the person you are with will feel a quiet, undeniable respect emanating from your complete and undivided attention. No one enjoys being criticized, but our instinct to defend ourselves often speaks louder than the feedback itself. The Stoics reframed criticism not as a personal attack, but as a gift of free information, an opportunity to see a blind spot we could not see on our own. Your reaction to a critical word reveals your true relationship with your own ego. Seneca offered profound advice on this very point. He wrote, "When a friend tells you a fault, believe him." He is not suggesting you accept every piece of feedback as absolute truth, but that you create a space within yourself to seriously consider it. The person offering criticism, especially if they are doing so with good intent, is giving you a valuable service. They are holding up a mirror. To smash that mirror in anger is to choose blindness over sight. When you can receive difficult feedback without flinching, without immediately listing your excuses or pointing out the other person's flaws, you project a strength that is both humble and powerful. You demonstrate that your self-worth is not so fragile that it shatters under a little scrutiny. Imagine a professional performance review. An employee is told their recent project lacked thorough research. The defensive response is to explain away the oversight, to blame a tight deadline, to subtly imply the manager does not appreciate the hard work that was done. This defensive posture, while understandable, erodes respect. It signals an inability to grow. Now, picture the alternative. The employee listens quietly, making steady eye contact, absorbing the words. When the manager finishes, the employee simply says, "Thank you for pointing that out. I can see how my research was not deep enough in that area. I will make it a priority to improve for the next project." This calm, non-defensive acceptance transforms the entire dynamic. The manager now sees a professional who is confident enough to be wrong, who is more focused on improvement than on protecting their image. That person is not just an employee, they are an asset. Their quiet grace under fire commands a deep and lasting respect. Think back to the last piece of criticism you received, whether it was from a boss, a partner, or a friend. Recall the initial heat that rushed to your face, the immediate mental list of reasons why they were mistaken. Now, set that list aside for just a moment. Ask yourself, if you strip away the sting and the tone, is there one small, quiet truth hidden within their words? You do not have to accept all of it. But by willingly looking for that single grain of truth, you perform a quiet act of self-mastery. You choose growth over comfort, and that is a choice that forever changes how others see you, and more importantly, how you see yourself. The purest acts of virtue are those done in secret. No one applauds, no one posts about it online, and the only record of the act is the quiet knowledge within your own heart. This is the 11th quiet behavior, doing good without any expectation of recognition. The Stoics held that the only true reward for a virtuous action is the action itself. To perform a good deed and then look around for a witness is to taint the deed, turning it from an expression of character into a transaction for social approval. Marcus Aurelius dedicated himself to this principle, writing, "In a sense, people are our proper occupation. We are born to work together, so work with them. Either draw them along or put up with them." His focus was relentlessly on the action, on the work itself, not on the memorial that might be built for him afterward. He understood that acting for the common good, even when completely unnoticed, is its own profound and lasting reward. This anonymous generosity builds a unique form of respect, not from the person you helped, but from the universe of your own character. It forges an integrity that is entirely self-validating. Imagine a workplace scenario where a senior employee notices a junior colleague struggling silently with a complex software program ahead of a major deadline. The senior could swoop in publicly, offering a flashy solution that makes them look like a hero. Instead, they choose a different path. They stay late one evening, create a simple, clear guide tailored to the exact problem, and leave it anonymously on the junior colleague's desk with a sticky note that reads, "Thought this might help." The next day, the junior colleague succeeds brilliantly, beaming with newfound confidence, completely unaware of where the help came from. The senior employee watches this, says nothing, and feels a quiet, deep satisfaction. They did not just solve a technical problem, they strengthened the entire team by empowering someone else. That silent empowerment, that choice to build others up without needing to take credit, is a hallmark of truly confident leadership. It commands a respect that does not need to be spoken because it is felt in the strengthened fabric of the group. So, for the next 7 days, make a quiet plan. Choose one small, anonymous act of kindness you can perform. It does not need to be grand. It could be paying for the coffee of the person behind you in the drive-thru, leaving a positive note on a random car windshield, or anonymously donating a small amount to a cause you believe in. The key is that no one ever knows it was you. Sit with the private satisfaction that comes from doing good for its own sake. Notice how this secret practice changes your relationship with your own actions, shifting the motivation from external validation to internal integrity. This is how you build a character that needs no spotlight to be seen. Success can be a greater test of character than failure. When things go wrong, our humility is often forced upon us, but when we succeed, the temptation to claim all the credit can be overwhelming. Stoic humility is the quiet practice of recognizing that any achievement is rarely ours alone, built on a foundation of luck, timing, and the contributions of countless others. This perspective is not about diminishing your hard work, but about placing it in a more honest and accurate context. It is the surest guard against the arrogance that so often corrodes respect. Seneca saw the dangers of fame clearly, warning that fortune is of sluggish growth, but ruin is rapid. He understood that the higher you climb, the more visible your stumbles become, and the only safe footing is a humble acknowledgement of how easily it can all be lost. This is not pessimism, it is prudence. It keeps you grounded in reality, not in the intoxicating fiction of your own self-importance. Consider a celebrated athlete who has just won a championship. The cameras are on them, the microphone is thrust in their face, and the world awaits their triumphant words. The athlete who commands deep respect does not begin with "I." They start by thanking their teammates, their coaches, their family, and even the fans. They speak of the lucky bounce of the ball, the collective effort, the years of support that made the moment possible. In that genuine sharing of credit, they do not become smaller, they become larger. They demonstrate that their identity is not wrapped up in the victory itself, but in their character, which remains constant in both win and loss. This humility makes their success more admirable, not less. Think back to a recent success in your own life, large or small. It could be a promotion at work, a personal goal you reached, or simply a day where everything went according to plan. Now, in the quiet of your own mind, trace the threads that led to that outcome. Who helped you, even in a small way? What fortunate circumstances aligned to make it possible? What knowledge did you inherit from others? Acknowledging these factors is not an act of self-effacement. It is an act of profound honesty that fortifies you against the illusion of total control. This quiet recognition keeps your feet firmly on the ground, ensuring that your successes build a legacy of respect, not a monument to your own ego. Punctuality and boundaries are silent signals of respect. This quiet behavior is a direct application of the Stoic virtue of justice, treating the time and personal limits of others with the same seriousness you afford your own. When you are late, you are effectively saying your schedule is more important than theirs. When you overstep a clearly drawn line, you communicate that your needs or curiosity outweigh their right to autonomy. The Stoic teacher Epictetus framed our duties with elegant clarity. He instructed, "Do not seek to have events happen as you want, but want them to happen as they do, and your life will go well." Part of wanting events to happen as they do is accepting the reality of other people's schedules and their stated boundaries. Your life goes well when you harmonize your actions with these external realities, not by forcing your own will upon them. This is justice in its most practical, daily form. Consider a project team that has established a clear rule: no work emails after 6 p.m. or on weekends. One member, however, consistently sends messages late into the night, apologizing each time but explaining they just had a thought they needed to share. This behavior, though perhaps well-intentioned, slowly erodes the team's trust and peace. It disrespects the collective boundary, imposing one person's work rhythm onto everyone else's personal time. Now envision the team member who not only adheres to this rule, but also consistently arrives 5 minutes early for every meeting, fully prepared. They never overstay their welcome in one-on-one conversations, and they always ask, "Is this a good time to talk?" Before launching into a complex topic, this person does not need to demand respect. They effortlessly command it through their unwavering consideration. Their colleagues feel valued and safe, knowing their time and limits are seen and honored. This builds a foundation of trust that makes collaboration seamless and deeply effective. To bring this into your own life, make a quiet assessment of one important relationship, whether with a colleague, a friend, or a family member. Identify one key boundary, either one they have explicitly stated or one you sense is there. It might be their need for quiet in the morning, their preference not to discuss a certain topic, or their expectation for punctuality. Ask yourself, in all honesty, have you been fully respecting that line? Your conscious choice to honor that single boundary starting today will send a silent, powerful message of deep respect, strengthening the relationship in ways words never could. Empathy is feeling with someone, not losing yourself in their emotions. This is a crucial distinction Stoicism helps us navigate: the balance between genuine compassion and the need for emotional self-preservation. The Stoics championed a profound sense of duty to help others, but they warned against a sympathetic drowning, where you become so swept up in another person's distress that you lose your own capacity to be a steady anchor. Marcus Aurelius offered a beautifully clear guideline for this delicate balance. He wrote, "When you are obliged by circumstances to be disturbed, quickly return to yourself, and do not continue out of tune longer than the tune lasts." Apply this to your interactions with others. You can acknowledge their pain, understand its depth, and offer support, all while consciously choosing not to be emotionally derailed by it. Your calm is not a sign of coldness. It is the very resource that makes you truly helpful. Think of a skilled counselor sitting with a client who is in the midst of a profound crisis. The client's emotions are raw and overwhelming. If the counselor were to fully absorb that despair, to feel it as their own, their judgment would cloud. They would become another person adrift in the same storm. Instead, the counselor listens with deep empathy, their face reflecting understanding and care. But their inner core remains calm and clear. From that place of steady reason, they can ask the insightful questions, offer the practical perspective, and provide the guidance that the client, lost in their own emotions, cannot find for themselves. This is the power of empathetic resilience. It allows you to be a lighthouse standing firm in the storm, offering a beacon of clarity to those who are temporarily lost. So reflect on a situation in your own life where someone you care about is struggling. It might be a friend going through a divorce or a family member facing a health scare. Your instinct may be to plunge into the emotional turmoil with them, but ask yourself this quiet question: how can I offer my full support and understanding in this moment, while consciously grounding myself so I do not absorb their negative emotions. Your steady presence, your ability to listen without being shattered, becomes the greatest gift you can offer. It is the quiet behavior that commands respect not only for them, but for your own unshakable strength. What costs more in the end, being right or being kind? This quiet behavior asks us to weigh the temporary satisfaction of winning a point against the lasting value of preserving a relationship. Stoicism shifts the goal from winning arguments to pursuing wisdom, a wisdom that often reveals how little is truly gained by proving someone else wrong. The drive to be right is often just the ego's desperate plea for validation, a hunger for external approval that the Stoics saw as a fundamental weakness. Epictetus cut to the heart of it when he taught, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. The moment you are certain of your own rightness, you close the door to learning anything new." Conceding a minor point in a discussion is not a sign of weakness, it is a demonstration of profound strength. It shows you value harmony and understanding more than you value the hollow trophy of a verbal victory. Picture a couple debating where to go for dinner. One insists on Italian, the other argues for Mexican. The conversation escalates from a simple choice into a battle of wills, each person listing reasons and digging in their heels. Now imagine one of them takes a quiet breath and says, "You know, you are right, that Mexican place does have amazing guacamole. Let's go there." The tension evaporates instantly. The evening is saved not by a superior argument, but by a graceful surrender on a point that never truly mattered in the first place. This person prioritizes the shared experience over their own preference, and in doing so, they command a deep, affectionate respect. Their partner feels heard and valued, and the relationship is strengthened far more than any single meal could accomplish. Think back to your most recent disagreement, whether it was with a colleague, a friend, or a family member. Replay the moment in your mind. What was the true prize you were fighting for? Was it a crucial point of principle, or was it simply the sweet, addictive feeling of being right? Now ask yourself quietly, what did that insistence actually cost? Did it cost you a sliver of trust, a moment of connection, a piece of the peace you could have enjoyed? Letting go of that need is like setting down a heavy weight you have been carrying for no reason. It is a quiet liberation that frees you to connect more deeply and listen more openly, paving the way for a respect that is not earned in battle, but cultivated in peace. A trustworthy person is a vault, not a sieve. This quiet behavior is a powerful exercise in the Stoic discipline of self-control, specifically the mastery over our most uncontrollable impulse, the urge to share what we know. When someone confides in you, they are placing a piece of their trust in your hands. To treat that confidence carelessly is to devalue their judgment and disrespect the bond between you. Seneca wrote extensively on the virtue of silence, observing that a wise man speaks because he has something to say, a fool because he has to say something. Guarding a secret is not about withholding information, it is about honoring a sacred trust. It proves that your loyalty is stronger than your desire for social currency or the fleeting importance that comes from being in the know. Your reliability becomes unquestionable when people learn, through consistent action, that your words are secure and your confidence is absolute. Imagine a colleague pulls you aside before a major company announcement, sharing news of an impending restructuring that will affect everyone. They ask you to keep it to yourself until the official communication goes out. The temptation to hint at this knowledge, to feel the power of being an insider, can be immense. You might be asked direct questions by other teammates. The person who commands deep respect offers a simple, calm reply. I think we will all know more soon, and gently steers the conversation elsewhere. They do not betray a single sign of the pressure they are under. By morning, when the news is public, your colleague knows with absolute certainty that you are a person of your word. That single, silent act of discretion builds a fortress of trust that no amount of friendly conversation can ever replicate. It signals that you are a safe harbor in a storm of office gossip and uncertainty. Now take a quiet inventory of your own recent conversations. Think back over the last few days to any piece of information that was shared with you in confidence, whether it was a friend's personal struggle or a piece of sensitive work news. Ask yourself with gentle honesty, have I been a vault or a sieve? Did I share anything, even subtly or with the best of intentions, that was not mine to share? This is not about self-judgment, but about self-awareness. Recognizing this pattern is the first step toward cultivating a presence so discreet and reliable that people feel an instinctive, unshakable respect for your unwavering integrity. When met with anger, our instinct is often to match it. A raised voice triggers our own. A sharp word demands a sharper retort. This reactive loop, however, is a trap that surrenders your inner peace and your command of the situation. The Stoic practice here is a profound act of emotional jujitsu, recognizing that another person's anger is their problem, a storm raging within their own soul, and you are under no obligation to step inside and get wet. Your character remains your own fortress, and its gates only open from the inside. Marcus Aurelius offered a timeless reminder of this inner sovereignty. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And elsewhere, he stated even more directly, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." When someone is angry, they are performing an injury upon themselves first and foremost. By refusing to participate, you shield your own character from harm. Your calm is not a passive surrender, it is an active, powerful choice. It communicates that you are not so easily triggered, that your equilibrium is not for sale to the highest bidder of outrage. This non-reactivity is profoundly disarming. Imagine a customer service agent facing a furious customer, shouting over a billing error. The agent's training kicks in, but more importantly, their inner discipline. They do not interrupt or raise their voice in return. They listen completely, let the storm of words pass, and then, in a measured tone, begin asking calm, clarifying questions. What seems to be the specific charge you are questioning? When did you first notice this discrepancy? This shift from emotional reaction to practical problem solving is like throwing a blanket over a fire. The customer's anger, deprived of the oxygen of a matching reaction, begins to sputter and die. The agent, by holding their ground with quiet poise, has not only resolved a conflict but has commanded a deep, grudging respect. They have demonstrated a strength that shouting could never achieve. So, think of a person in your life who knows how to push your buttons, whose frustration reliably ignites your own. Before you encounter them again, make a quiet plan. Decide on your single, calm response. It might be a simple, "I hear your frustration, and I want to understand." Or it could be a deliberate pause, followed by a question focused on a solution. By pre-committing to this response, you reclaim your power. You move from being a reactor to being an actor, and in that quiet space, you build a respect that is both unshakable and entirely earned. The spotlight shared is a spotlight magnified. True influence grows not by hoarding credit, but by distributing it with a generous hand. This quiet behavior is a living expression of the Stoic principle of interconnectedness, the profound understanding that no meaningful achievement is ever truly a solo act. We are all threads in a vast tapestry, and to claim the entire pattern as your own is to ignore the countless other hands that wove it. Seneca beautifully captured this sentiment when he wrote on gratitude, urging us to remember that we should give thanks for the benefits we receive from others, and even more so for the opportunity to bestow them. This flips the entire notion of giving credit on its head. It is not a duty or a loss, but a privilege. Acknowledging others is a benefit you give to yourself, reinforcing your own understanding of how the world truly works and fortifying your character against the poison of vanity. When you are quick to highlight the work of others, you broadcast a powerful, silent message of inner security. You are so confident in your own worth that you do not need to claim every victory. You also demonstrate a deep sense of fairness, the Stoic virtue of justice, by ensuring that credit lands where it is genuinely due. Picture a project manager presenting the results of a hugely successful campaign to the entire company. The easy path is to stand at the podium and accept the congratulations, perhaps offering a generic thank you to the team. But the leader who commands deep respect does something entirely different. They begin by naming names. They say, "This campaign succeeded because of Maria's incredible data analysis that identified our key demographic, because of David's creative copy that resonated so deeply, and because of Sarah's relentless coordination that kept us all on track." They are specific, they are public, and they are sincere. In that moment, they are not just a manager, they are a magnifier. They make their team members feel seen, valued, and capable of even greater things. The respect for that leader does not diminish. It multiplies exponentially because everyone knows that working with them means your efforts will be recognized and your growth will be supported. Now take a quiet moment to look inward. Think of a recent success in your own life, something you are genuinely proud of. Then look just beyond your own effort. Who was the person who offered a piece of advice that steered you in the right direction? Who handled a small task that freed you to focus? Who provided a word of encouragement when you needed it most? Their contribution may seem minor in the grand scheme, but acknowledging it is a major act of character. Find a way to thank them this week, not with a grand gesture, but with a specific and sincere message. Let them know you saw their part in your victory. In that quiet act of sharing the light, you do not lose any of your own. You become a source of it. Our external environment often reflects our inner state. A cluttered desk or a disheveled appearance can silently broadcast a cluttered mind, while order and neatness project a sense of inner calm and self-command. This extends far beyond vanity into the Stoic discipline of assent, the practice of carefully managing your judgments about what is truly good or bad. Caring for your immediate environment and personal presentation is one of the few things fully within your control, a direct form of self-respect that others instinctively notice and admire. The Stoic teacher Musonius Rufus taught that personal discipline must be cultivated in all areas of life, including our attire. He argued that a philosopher should wear simple, practical clothing, but emphasized that it must always be clean and tidy. This was not about fashionable display, but about demonstrating respect for oneself and for the community one engages with. It is a quiet, continuous practice of aligning your external reality with your internal principles. Think of a neighbor you see each morning. Regardless of whether they are heading to the gym or just collecting their mail, they are always put together, their clothes clean and their demeanor orderly. You have never had a deep conversation with them, but you have formed a quiet opinion. That consistent neatness, even in a casual setting, signals reliability and inherent care. It tells you this person respects themselves enough to present themselves well, and by extension, they are likely to respect their commitments and their surroundings. This unspoken signal builds a foundation of trust before a single word is exchanged. Now, turn that observation inward for a moment. Look around you right now at your workspace or your living area. Glance down at what you are wearing. Identify one small, manageable area you can bring more order to. It might be the stack of papers on your desk, the single drawer that is always jammed, or simply taking a moment to straighten your collar. This is not about a massive overhaul, but a quiet, intentional act of asserting control over your domain. In that small act of creating order, you are not just tidying a space, you are reinforcing the inner discipline that commands deep and silent respect. The most meaningful support often arrives before the request. This quiet behavior, offering help without being asked, is the very pulse of Stoic virtue in action. It moves beyond passive decency into an active, watchful commitment to the common good. Marcus Aurelius framed this not as a choice, but as a fundamental human obligation. He wrote, "That which isn't good for the hive isn't good for the bee." Your well-being is intrinsically tied to the health of your community, and to serve it proactively is simply to act in your own enlightened self-interest. When you anticipate a need and meet it quietly, you demonstrate a profound level of attentiveness. You are telling the person and the world that you are observant enough to see the silent struggle and secure enough to address it without requiring a public acknowledgement of your generosity. This selfless foresight earns a respect that runs deeper than any transactional favor ever could. Picture a colleague who has been unusually quiet in meetings, their usual energy dimmed. Instead of asking them what is wrong in front of others, you notice they are buried in a complex report with a fast approaching deadline. You remember handling a similar task last quarter. That evening, you send a brief, private email with a simple message. "I worked on something similar recently and saved my notes. I have attached them in case any of it is useful." No offer to take over, no demand for thanks, just a quiet offering of a tool. The next day, the colleague seeks you out, their relief palpable. They feel seen and supported in a way that a public offer of help could never achieve. You have strengthened a bond without a single request being made. This week, make it a quiet practice to truly observe the people around you, your partner, your co-workers, your friends. Look beyond their words to their posture, their tone, the small sighs of frustration. Identify one unspoken need you can meet. It might be handling a household chore without mentioning it, or sending an article you know would help a friend with a problem they have not yet voiced. In that silent, anticipatory act, you are not just solving a problem, you are weaving a thread of unshakable trust and demonstrating a form of respect that speaks louder than any promise. Words are like jewels, valuable only when rare and well placed. This 19th quiet behavior is the art of speaking only when your words genuinely improve the silence around you. It is the Stoic practice of paring down your speech to its most essential, powerful core, ensuring that every syllable carries weight and intention. The ancient teacher Epictetus offered a masterclass in this discipline, advising that we should be for the most part silent, or speak merely what is necessary and in few words. He was not advocating for muteness, but for a profound economy of language where the value of your contribution is measured not by its volume, but by its necessity and its truth. When you master this, you transform the very atmosphere of a room. Your silence becomes a canvas, and your rare, well-chosen words become the striking brushstrokes that everyone notices. You earn a deep, listening respect because people learn that when you finally choose to speak, it is worth hearing. Consider a typical team meeting where a complex problem is being debated. One person dominates the conversation, talking at length about every possible angle, their voice filling the air with theories and possibilities. While they are speaking, others begin to tune out, their attention drifting. Then there is a pause. Another person who has been listening intently the entire time leans forward slightly. They offer a single, clear sentence that cuts directly to the heart of the issue, reframing the problem in a way that suddenly makes the solution obvious. In that moment, their few words carry more authority and influence than the previous 20 minutes of chatter. The room falls silent again, but this time it is a silence of collective understanding and respect. That person did not need to prove their intelligence through a monologue. They demonstrated their wisdom through their judicious silence and their surgical precision with words. Their quiet power did not come from what they said, but from everything they chose not to say. To truly feel the weight of this practice, try a simple but revealing experiment for just one day. Make a quiet pact with yourself to speak only when it is necessary, when your words will add something of genuine value to the conversation or to the silence. This does not mean you become withdrawn or uncommunicative. It means you become acutely selective. Before you speak, pause and ask yourself this internal filter: is what I am about to say true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Notice how this single day of conscious restraint changes your interactions. You may find that you listen more deeply, that your thoughts become clearer, and that the words you do choose to offer land with a new gravity. Observe the reactions of those around you when they realize your speech is not a given, but a gift. This quiet discipline forges a presence that is both thoughtful and formidable, commanding a respect that is earned not by the noise you make, but by the powerful silence you choose to break. These 23 threads weave a single, unbreakable fabric of character. The quiet power they generate does not come from demanding attention, but from embodying a strength that attention naturally gravitates toward. This is the ultimate promise of Stoicism, that profound respect is not something you chase, but a natural byproduct of the inner work you do. Every act of listening, every moment of composure, every private choice of integrity is a brick in the foundation of a self that needs no external validation to stand firm. The themes are timeless: integrity, presence, and the relentless discipline of self-control. They forge a person who is the same in private as in public, who is anchored in the present moment, and who commands their own inner world so completely that others feel that stability and are drawn to it. The Roman philosopher Seneca captured the ultimate reward for this lifelong practice. He wrote, "A good character is the only guarantee of everlasting, carefree happiness." The tranquility he describes is the deep, quiet river that runs beneath these 23 behaviors. It is the peace that comes from knowing your worth is not for others to grant, but for you to build day by quiet day. You do not need to master all of these behaviors at once. That would be overwhelming. The true transformation begins with a single, focused intention. Look back over this journey and choose just one, or perhaps two, of these quiet practices that resonate most with you right now. It might be the commitment to listen fully, or the decision to take radical ownership of your reactions. Whatever you choose, practice it with consistency, not for the applause of the world, but for the quiet satisfaction of aligning your actions with your principles. Watch how this one small change subtly shifts your interactions and strengthens your inner core. Respect will follow, not as a goal, but as a welcome companion on your path. If this exploration of quiet strength has been valuable for you, consider joining a community dedicated to this kind of growth. Subscribing ensures you do not miss our ongoing discussions about applying these ancient Stoic principles to the beautiful complexity of modern life. Together, we can continue building lives of purpose, character, and unshakable